Yo, what up, man? It's Dope Man, about your God, and right now you kicking it with Space City Collective right in the Southeast.
You're now kicking it with Space City. That's right.
Yo, what's going down? It's that boy T, the screwed up SA, and you now kicking it with Space City Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for coming back, kicking it with Space City. I'm your host, Gio.
I'm your host, Chino.
This is Mitch.
We got a special guest with us. Please tell the people what you do and your credentials.
Good afternoon. I'm James Hernandez. I'm an attorney here in Houston, Texas, but I practice all over Texas. For immigration, I practice all over the U.S. Got cases in New York, California,
Nice.
wherever. Immigration's federal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love it. Moved here to Houston 2011. Haven't looked back.
So
Best
where
city
you
on
from
earth.
originally?
I'm from Laredo, South Texas.
Okay.
We got people over there.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming out today, man.
Oh, man, appreciate it. Here, answer whatever questions. Let's talk. Let's have some fun.
Well, got it. Okay, so what got you into, wanting to do this?
It's funny. 1995. If you're my age, 40, 42, 45, the big thing at the time was the O.J. Simpson trial.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember that. I don't know how old you guys were at the time.
It was always talked about.
Yeah.
It was just always
The
talked
O.J.
about.
Simpson trial.
To this day.
I've seen the shows and everything, but yeah.
And I remember waking up one morning, and I had known about O.J. Simpson because he was before my time for football, but he was in the Naked Gun movies. I don't know if you remember those. Famous guy. So I wake up one morning, hey, his wife is dead. Okay. A few weeks later, they arrest him, or they have the chase with the white Bronco. And so you start seeing the trial of the century. You have Marcia Clark, Christopher Darden on the prosecution. You have Johnny Cochran,
Robert
Shapiro. You have
That was like much watched TV back then.
yeah. You had the Kardashian before the whole
the
Kardashian
Kardashians.
things took off. He was
True.
an excellent lawyer. And so you start getting like, man, I want to do this. Just the DNA evidence. They had the thing with the glove that if it doesn't fit, you must acquit. That whole thing, and it was always in the back of my mind. I went to college, came out, was a teacher for 8 years, and then
Teacher? What kind of teacher?
ninth grade geography.
Oh, nice. How was that?
It was not nice. That's why I'm a
school
lawyer now.
kids.
I was a teacher and a coach, and the coaching was better. And then one day I tell my wife, and we just kind of agreed, let's do it. One life. Let's see how this pans out. Signed up to take the LSAT, study for a whole week, 3 days, and took it. Got a good enough grade. Went to Thurgood Marshall here, and the rest is history. Started my own law firm, and
Didn't it take 8 years or?
it takes 3 years to do law school, and then you take the bar exam. Once you pass it, you're
Oh, okay.
an
good to go.
attorney. Yeah,
Dang.
and got real lucky, working with excellent people, and it's been good so far. Enjoy
So
it.
where'd you go to college at?
I went to school at Baylor University.
Hey.
Nice.
Baylor University, and it's so funny. I didn't know Baylor existed. I really didn't. My plan was to go to the local school there in Laredo, or go to San Antonio, because a lot of people went to UTSA or Trinity in San Antonio. And then I applied to Baylor, got in. Expensive, you're talking private school money. So I figured one day I called financial aid, and I said, hey, I made it sound nicer, but basically it was, I want money to go to your school. And I was expecting them just to hang up on me like, no, idiot, go pay like everybody else. And surprisingly enough, they said, okay, just give us this information about your parents, about how much they make, and we'll make it work out. And sure enough, they paid for a lot of the school. So I was like, well, do I really want to go to this school where somehow I have to pay more than going to Baylor? So I ended up going to Baylor, and at that time, Baylor was a little bit different. Now it's beautiful. The campus is beautiful.
They got a
And
good team, right, too.
yeah, And I mean, it really has to do with Robert Griffin III, Art Briles for whatever trouble he got into. You know, once the football team turned around, the whole university turned around. But when I was there, it was a little more.
What years were you there? You said
99 to 2003.
Oh, okay.
And it was okay. I mean, the football team lost every game. I remember they were playing UNLV, and they were like on a 10, 20 game losing streak.
Sheesh.
And Baylor was about to win. They were like on the 3-yard line, maybe 10 seconds left in the game. And, everybody's at the stadium like, hey, we're going to rush the field when we win because we've lost for 2 years. And the coach at the time, I guess it was his first year, and he was like, well, I'm gonna change the culture. So this idiot goes for it. So last play of the game, the running back sticks out the ball, fumbles it. UNLV picks it up, runs 99 yards for a touchdown, lose the game. And I never went to a game after that. I'm like, no, this is stupid. Our team is stupid. It's dumb. So
That was crazy.
That sounds like a playoff Madden.
That was player and basketball.
They just won a national championship, I think.
Yeah,
years ago.
last year, 2 years ago, they won the national championship. At that time, one player murdered another player.
I'm about to say.
What happened with all that? They had a whole scandal,
You were
right?
in school during that, right?
I was in school. I lived in the same complex as those two guys.
Oh, did you?
What?
Yeah, because just happened to be in the same area that they lived in. No, I don't know what it was. I think it was something happening, but one player murdered another, and the coach covered it up.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
the coach gets fired. I think he's coaching some D3 school, but that's how bad the athletic program. And as bad as it is to say, a lot of universities kind of go as the athletic program does. I mean, that's just America. And at that time, Baylor was good. It was nice. They had everything you needed there, but compared to how it is now, where they have this multi-million-dollar science building, multi-million-dollar law building, multi-million-dollar this and that.
Yeah. It just upgraded away.
And they just upgraded like crazy, which they should, because now they have all this money rolling in. You have people like me that I didn't donate a damn thing, but then now they're good. It's like, okay, well, now I could give them money, so now I give a little bit of money, but
Then you be donating to the school?
a couple dollars,
That's
man.
what's up.
Maybe to build a bench or something in a few years. But it was a good. Baylor was an interesting experience.
It was a party school or not?
No. Well, I mean, like anything else, you're going to find your group, and but it was just a culture shock coming from Laredo that's 99% Hispanic. Now you have white people, you have African Americans, you're living in a dorm, which is weird. I've never had to do the community bathroom. Like, it was an interesting experience. I was telling you guys I did track one year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And again, it's one of those things that the one thing I'll give myself credit for is I don't mind asking questions. I don't mind the answer no. I'll take a no.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so funny because I'll tell people that, like, don't be afraid of the word no. But your goal is to figure out why they said no and then figure it out. And then somebody was like, yeah, never take no for an answer. And it's like, no, that rapey shit doesn't work rapey stuff doesn't work anymore. Like, take the no, but understand why there was a no and then fix it. But it was before my junior year, like right around that time, and I was talking with a friend, and I'm like, I'm going to go ask the coach to join the track team. And he's like, you're stupid. They had like 2 or 3 runners that were going to the Olympics. I mean, very, very good team. And I'm like, okay, I mean, what are they going to do? Just tell me no? Like, okay. So I went, and at that time, the field coach was Coach Brabham, and I said, hey, my name is James. I threw discus in Laredo. I want to try out for the team. And he was like, okay, yeah, I don't care. Just show up on Monday. And I was on the track team, stole a magazine that had my name in it so I could show my kids in 30 years. Like, no, and I wasn't.
You still have it?
I wasn't a chunky loser. Like, I ran track for college. Oh, yeah, I have it somewhere in my house, but scored 4 points for us.
Damn.
You know, it's so funny because they tell me, like, have you ever thrown the hammer throw? That's the one, like, if you've ever seen it, it's a ball attached to a string, and you, like, spin around, you throw it. And I'm like, no. He's like, okay, well, you're going to go throw it. Okay. So I go, and it's me and it's 3 guys from SMU, Southern Methodist. So they finished top 3. I finished 4th by, like, 100 feet. I mean, but there was only 4 throwers. So I finished 4th place. So I go back to the track stadium, and they have the big leaderboard, and so it had, you know, SMU, Jay Hernandez, Baylor. So I took a picture of that. I'm like, I scored points for Baylor, and then at the end of the season, I realized I wasn't good. So I mean, I didn't do it, but at least I could say
You try.
I did it 1 year. They can't take that away from me. For the longest time, you could Google it, James Hernandez Baylor track, and my face would be there. And I was checking right now; it's not there, so I don't want to be called a liar. But hey, somebody DM me, and I'll send you a picture of the magazine with my face in it.
Mitch, you better get a picture of my man's right
No, I need one, dog. In
But,
the Baylor uniform too,
like
right?
in life, you can. It doesn't hurt to try. You always, you know.
And that's the thing, and that's what
people are scared to fail. You know.
and you get a lot of that. And it's the craziest thing because you get this one life. That's it. You know, and that's what I love about, you know, talking to y'all and getting to know you guys, because you're doing what you want to do. And I don't want to have a normal life. And I don't mean like I want to have I have wife, kids, I have a house and everything, but I don't want to have to be somewhere at 8 a.m. and I don't want to have to clock out at 5 p.m. You know, the job I have now, I could go in when I want to, leave when I want to. If I have to stay till midnight, then I stay till midnight. You know, but if I could leave at 3 to go see an award ceremony at my kids' school, then I could do that.
Right.
And when I was a teacher, I mean, you couldn't do that. You had kids, you had students, so you had to be at the school at 7:45. You could leave at 3:45, 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I didn't want that.
Yeah, I was in the restaurant business for 10 years.
Yeah, and
Same
I would have killed myself in year 3.
Same thing. Bro. I was a GM. I went from busboy to manager to general manager, but like you said, I would get there at sometimes as early as 4 in the morning,
and
then I wouldn't leave till like 5 in the afternoon, 6 in the afternoon, 7 in the afternoon.
And if somebody
That was
doesn't
crazy.
show, well, guess what? Now you're going to
exactly. If
be.
my manager didn't come, even I got there at 4, I'm gonna have to work till the next fucking day and close.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck?
And
It was bad.
And so that's why, and it all started with, you know, just asking a question, asking this, asking that, getting to know, but then understanding why you were told no, and it's the same thing even now for if you've ever had an attorney or if you've ever been in some sort of legal thing, all it is just asking questions. It's negotiating. You know, prosecutor, let's reduce it. Why? Well, because this. No. Okay, well, why did you tell me no? Okay, yeah, because he ran and hit a pole. Okay, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But him hitting the pole wasn't his fault. So let me go fix my reasoning, fix my story. Next time I come back, okay, let's reduce it because this. Okay, well, I'm not going to tell you no, but I'll reduce it this much. Okay, well, why did they reduce it 1 year instead of 3 years? So let me go back and figure it out. And it's just a constant evaluation of why you were told no, or why you didn't get what you wanted, and then going and getting what you wanted.
Right, doing it different.
Yeah. And being able to adjust
Right.
and getting what you wanted, but without, you know, doing anything illegal, something you're not supposed to do.
Yeah,
because you want to still make sure you're doing everything the right way, but being able to understand and having the presence to be self-evaluating. For being an entrepreneur, how come I made 10,000 last month? I only made 3,000 this month. Okay, well, let me figure out what happened and then fix that.
Mm-hmm.
Or I made 10,000 this month. I made 20. I made 30. I made 40. Okay, what did I do differently this month that I didn't do last month? And then keep doing
What works?
that.
Right.
And that's really what it comes down to. And if you got that, then you'll be successful. But then you get a lot of people that want to blame everybody else. Oh, it was this happened. Okay, well, what did you do differently knowing this is what's happening? It's like, well, nothing. That guy's just a jerk. And it's like, well,
You got to move.
he's still going to be a jerk a month later. What are you going to do different? And for somebody like you, okay, well, if you weren't enjoying a restaurant, well, let me go start a business. And it seems to be working out for you. This place is probably the best place in Houston for
So far, so
shoes.
good.
And that's something that, even though maybe you didn't do it consciously, you weigh your pros and your cons, and you're like, okay, well, do I see myself being 50 years old, waiting tables, being a GM, making decent money? I mean, you're not going to
I
starve.
was making more money then.
Yeah, you're not going to starve, but now you're in a position where the harder you work, maybe the luckier you get, the more money you get,
For sure.
and you're going to be a hell of a lot happier at 40, 50, 60 years old than you are going to be,
Yeah.
And you're gonna have some flat cakes, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the restaurant business, they kind of kept, the money was so good, they kind of keep you there. You get used to that,
Yeah.
But then you don't realize, like, the time away. Like, my daughter grew, like, she's 7, and it's like, it flashed. Like, before I knew it, I was like, dang, she's 7 years old.
But I mean, the amount you're working, you should have got paid 6 figures. Like you're working like 60 hours a week. And shit.
Yeah, but that's like the requirement in the restaurant. I was getting like 80,000.
What? So there's another question I had. I don't know if you know, is this a separate part of like lawyering? But you know those commercials you hear, like, is your employer working you over 40 hours in your own salary and all that shit? Is that true, or is that like what?
I think
what
it's.
is?
I don't know.
I'm asking the lawyer.
Texas is kind of, there's a few answers in there. One, Texas is an at-will state, meaning that your employer could fire you for pretty much, as long as it's not for race, it's not for sexual orientation. He could wake up one day and like say, man, screw you.
Literally.
And then you're out the door.
It's an open door.
And you can't sue because
policy.
of that. Now it becomes a little bit dicey when it's salary, because salary means that this is what you're going to make. They could kind of work you as much as they want to. Hourly, it's different because now you're subject to the overtime, things like that. But that's why they kind of keep you on salary, because they can work you that amount of time. When I was a teacher, I was also a coach, and coaches during the football season, you're working 7 days a week. I mean, sometimes you're coming in for a morning workout.
Yeah.
You have after school practice. Friday is the game. Saturday, you're there all day. Sunday, you're all there getting ready for the next game. And you're putting in 80, 90, 100 hours, but you can't go to the principal and say, hey, I put in 100 hours, give me more money or I'm going to call Jim Adler. And, you can't do that. It's just, that's the contract you made with them, that you were going to
it's all
work
in the contract
for this amount of money. So it's a little bit.
Yeah, they used to tell us in our meetings, like, they have open door policy. Like, if we want, you can say, hey, you're done.
Yeah, because Texas is not will state. They can fire you for any reason they want.
You hear that, man?
They just can't.
Nah, I used to have a boss that he was like, I can wake up one morning and not like your fucking face and fire you. Like, you know what I mean? I would be like,
It's
dude.
true.
It's true.
That's what they did, basically. Well, they gave you a reason. But
No, they said that they got I got fired because my TABC expired. You know what a TABC is? It's
The
a license.
alcohol,
It's a
yeah.
license to sell liquor.
Yeah.
A TABC is basically a class you take, like, knowing the rules. But technically, once you've had it, you don't really you need it. But and I read the rule, like the policies and all that. I wasn't supposed to really get fired, but it's I will stay. And I even tried to get unemployment, and they said that they had the policy handbook. It had like a screenshot of it, and they had a picture that said like you have to have like your license to serve.
Yeah, because for unemployment they'll ask the business why did they fire you or why did you fire somebody, and if they can show that it was for a reason, you know, it didn't have to be a great reason, but there was a reason.
Yeah, exactly. I got one unemployment check during like when everybody's getting unemployment, and then they asked for it back. The unemployment officers asked for it back, saying that my shit got revoked, that I wasn't eligible for unemployment, even though I worked there for 10 years. Yeah, that's America.
Did you give it back?
So all these people that didn't work anywhere, like people work somewhere for a week. All you had to do was be in their system, and they were getting checks every week from unemployment. But I worked there for 10 years, and I didn't get one. I had to pay it back.
Yeah.
Just because I broke policy, which was like.
But it's in policy. So
yeah, it's the for cause, you know, and they don't have to pay the unemployment. So they're in the
right, technically.
Yeah.
Technically, yeah, but it's still bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, it worked out for you.
Yeah.
You know, it better.
My boss is still over there losing all his hair and shit, running around the restaurant.
Damn.
So
he's bald?
Yeah, he has like one little hair left.
Dang.
But what's the number one question like you get asked regards like immigration? I know that's big here in Texas, and I'm sure we have some listeners that are curious.
Immigration, the number one question I always get is the work permit. That's the number one question I always get. You know, how do I get a work permit? I'm undocumented, and then you get because my cousin came and 2 days later he got a work permit. You know, always that type of stuff. And it's like, well, first off, that never happened. But there's only certain ways you could get a work permit. And a work permit is you get a card that says, hey, I could work in the U.S. legally. You take that, you get your driver's license, and more importantly, you get your social security number. And that's what people want. And that's the number one. But then there's only certain ways you could get. If you have a pending criminal case or a pending immigration court case, then you could get your work permit after 6 months of filing and stuff like that. If you're doing some sort of adjusting your status or some sort of family petition, it normally has to get approved. Then you can apply for your work permit. But that's usually the number one question because if people they're grasping for status.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think Trump scared a lot of people. You know, because Trump was like, hey, as soon as I'm president, I'm gonna kick everybody out. And then that's when we were starting getting a lot of, hey, how do I get some sort of status? Well, do you want to do this? You could try this. Are you eligible for this?
Yeah.
Criminal, it's always the 12.44A, which is your state jail felony. How to get a felony be punished as a misdemeanor.
Mm-hmm.
That one you have to have a state jail felony, but people come in with like a felony 2. And it's like, hey, I got a felony 2. Give me state jail. It's like, no, it don't work like that.
And what is a felony 2 compared? I don't know the difference.
You're talking your major drug charges, your sexual assaults, things like that. Kind of the higher things like that. I've done a handful of those. Your felony 1s, intent to rape,
Mm-hmm.
you know, burglary with intent to rape, things like that. Something like ultra violent, that's not murder, but you're getting kind of...
Yeah, you're going to take some time.
And then for car wrecks, it's basically how do I make money from it?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a very reasonable question, you know, because people are hurt, their car is totaled. How do I get my car fixed? How do I get money for this? And so we kind of walk you through the steps. It's a little bit of a thing, but we do have a lot of clients that, you know, hey, I got in a car wreck. What do I do? Say, okay, we're going to set you up this. We're going to get you get your car fixed, things like that. And it's all processes, but the major question I usually get is the work permits, which is extremely reasonable because, you know, you come to the U.S., I mean, you have these people, you have DeSantis, Trump, you know, oh, they come in and they're stealing or they don't want to do it. These people just want to come, work, try to get some sort of status. If it doesn't work, so be it. But I've never had in the time I've been an attorney, somebody come in and say, give me something. Well, I don't have to work, but I want something. You know, it's always, hey, I want this. How do I get a work permit? Because I want to work. And so that's the number one question that I get.
And you see all them people in Florida, like they took away their work status and they don't even have workers on the farm to pull off the fruit, and
which is the craziest.
Americans are quitting after one day.
Which is the craziest thing. I mean, you're gonna go work in a field? I'm not. You know, most Americans aren't gonna do it, and so they kind of shot themselves in the foot. And I think they even said, like, I think they even almost apologized for it, from what I understood, that, hey, you know, it was just to kind of scare you guys. We want you back. We still need people, you know, picking oranges and stuff. And now they all
building houses. There's a bunch of houses like unfinished.
Yeah.
And they're like, who's gonna do this?
It's not a dirty secret, but it's the secret nobody wants to admit, that this country
is ran off immigrants.
We'll fall apart without immigrants. You know, without people willing to do those jobs that, you know,
don't pay very well, and you're doing a lot of labor, and you're in the sun, and
that most people don't want to do. And it's that secret that people don't want to acknowledge, that we need them here. And it's like, well, no, we need to get rid of them and this, and it's like, no,
they're taking our jobs.
Yeah,
Like,
taking our jobs. And it's like, yeah, it's like, okay, all right, go off to a field at 4 a.m. and have at it. You know, we'll send this guy back if you want to do it, and I guarantee you they're not going to make it past lunch. You know, doing something like that. So, but it's a scary time. You know, you have that time during Trump. I mean, you had people coming out, oh, I've been a resident for 20 years. I want to be a citizen now. I want to be a citizen, because they know that it got real scary during that time, because they had Obama that was a little more okay with immigrants. He had Bush that talked a lot, but he didn't really do anything with them. But Trump kind of, I think the only thing that kind of stopped him from doing that was COVID. I think that's the only thing that kind of prevented him from going full on getting rid of everybody was COVID happened. So now we got to deal with, you know, COVID. So I think that kind of spared a lot of, kind of the wrath that he was going to
stop for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. That he was going to eventually do. I think he's pretty much going to jail at this point, right? I think he got 37 indictments.
He better not.
So
he did federal.
He's going to jail, dog.
Damn, for real?
He has the best lawyer in the world, I'm sure. So.
I know. My boy right here.
Right? No, I haven't got a call from Trump, man.
Hey, what'd you do if you got a call from Trump?
Right, like, hey, I need you, dog. I'm flying to Laredo, dog.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. We can't
that's actually, I never even thought of it. If Mr. Trump called, that'd be, well, I mean, because he was a president, so I would be respectful, but it's like.
You don't like him or what?
I'm not
He's against your
fan, but, you know, every president has their issues.
Mm-hmm.
For as much as everybody, Obama, he had his issues. Bush had his issues. Clinton had his issues. You know, so
Clinton was the best.
They all had.
I heard Clinton was the best. I seen him in the. He would be posing with like SPM, right, and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, he did the. You know, he played saxophone on Arsenio Hall. If you remember watching that, he did. So it's like, okay, he plays the saxophone, so I got to vote for him now. And then, he's out going full Monica Lewinsky on all these women, and it's. And so they all have their issues, you know. I mean, if he did something wrong, then he needs to pay for it, just like anybody else.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, if
what about OJ? You think he did?
Oh yeah, what do you think? OJ innocent?
OJ killed that lady.
What?
Come on.
And the homie.
And him. And I'm sure he enjoyed doing it.
Damn.
You know, it's one of those things that and I mean, I don't have any inside information. I was 15 at the time. I didn't know. I
always go with like the famous person. Yeah, I believe them.
Are you serious?
Yeah, bro.
It was.
Except Tory Lanez.
You had some of the best lawyers on the planet at the time, versus two prosecutors that didn't have the expertise. It's like
they were in over their heads.
Yeah, it's like if you got Prime Jordan versus me and Mitch. Like, we're not going to be prime Jordan.
I don't know, bro.
We're going to try really hard, and we're probably going to score 0 points. And that's what I think happened was they were
outmatched.
You had 4 of the best lawyers on the planet, and they
team, bro.
They just picked apart
the
dream team. And he eventually, I think he lost the civil case, which is the weirdest thing. He won the criminal case. But then I think, if I remember, a few weeks later, they had the civil case, the wrongful death, and they convicted him of that. So he lost civilly. He had to pay, I think, $33 million for killing Nicole Simpson and the other guy. And I'm pretty sure he never paid, but at least in the civil court, he was found guilty of murder. But you don't go to prison for that.
So he served no time for that?
He didn't serve any time for that, but he ended up doing...
I remember
stole some memorabilia,
He
right?
did 9 years for stealing back his memorabilia from
the college, right?
From Las Vegas. I think it was like in a Las Vegas hotel.
Yeah.
And they gave him 30 years, but he only served 8 or 9.
So he got more time for...
Yeah, well, they tried to get him for that because they didn't get him.
He still claims he's innocent. He was just trying to get his shit
Oh, yeah,
back.
he did that book, If I Did It.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where he was
Did
like...
you read it?
No, I mean, 'cause that's pretty much a confession. I mean, like, it was... Yeah, it was called If I Did It. And then this idiot tried to make money off of it, but then I think the family of the guy sued him, so all the money that he made went to the parents.
Well, I was gonna ask. He said they fined him $33 million. He didn't pay anything. Like, what happens if you don't pay? Like, they don't get you.
Like, I mean, you could keep taking him to court for not paying, but
they won't come take your cars and all that, your house.
They took stuff. I mean, $33 million. I mean, what really do you have that's worth 30? I'm pretty sure they took his cars. They took
NFL for a minute. And he
played in like the '80s NFL where you were like,
he wouldn't. He was making money off them Hertz.
Yeah, you weren't making like Patrick Mahomes money.
Yeah.
You were making, really good dentist money. You were making probably like $800,000-900,000. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
So it just fucks up your credit, or
wasn't Warren Moon like the first $1 million player, or Joe Montana? I mean, you're talking like early 90s when they started making
millions.
When they started making like not even millions, like 1 million or 1.5. OJ Simpson was probably making
100 racks,
300-400, and then with like
he was a top player.
He was like in every commercial.
But then he had the commercials, so that probably added a few. But I mean, I don't think he had. I'm pretty sure he had 33 million, but like
I've seen interviews like in the past like couple of years where like most of those lawyers from the super team says that OJ still owes them like millions of dollars.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah,
but they're all dead now.
Yeah,
I think Cochran died. Kardashian died.
Oh well, yeah, that homie died too.
It says here he signed a 5-year, $650,000 contract at that time between 1972 to 1970.
Yeah, I mean,
that was his biggest contract.
That was big.
Damn.
He was making like what a really good, podiatrist makes. Like, you're not making Jalen Hurts money. You're not resetting the market. So I don't even think he was worth $33 million. I think
probably not. That's a lot of money, but
$5-6 million tops.
But what the question, like, what happens if you don't pay that? Nothing happens.
Nothing.
So I don't have to.
It's like child support in Texas. You can go to jail for not paying your child support. But when I used to do family law,
Just be careful.
For real, I know.
when I used to do family law, people would come in like, "Hey, he's not paying his child support. Okay, how much does he owe per month? Like $300, but he's paying like $75 a month." The court will say, "Oh no, he's
trying.
He's trying. He's paying something, so we're not going to arrest him because if we arrest him, well, now that 75 is going to go to zero. So I think it's the same thing. He was probably paying
$25
like $25, $30, and it's like it's just little by little. And
it's like the IRS. When you owe the IRS money, you never stop owing them as long as they're getting something from you.
Or when you owe Memorial Herman.
Right. They're gonna bill you.
Oh yeah, no, you can't get sick in America. It's, no, like don't.
So I had another question. Like, what are some things like say if somebody like Mitch that's from Mexico gets pulled over, like what are your do's and don'ts? I know you probably think about this all the time, right?
Well, I got pulled over a while back, and so I have the letter that I got sent. You know what I mean? And I have like my passport and everything. I carry everything with me.
What letter is it?
It was a letter of acceptance saying that I got approved.
That you're in some sort of process.
You're in
right
the
now.
process of
Okay.
what you're doing, and saying that I was.
I'm sure you're nervous, right?
Oh, dude,
You're like, I'm
I
done.
ain't never. My balls ain't never dropped so hard, dog. I was in my red car.
I mean, the
And-
first things first. Don't try not to do anything that'll get you pulled over. I mean, that's why I tell my clients: if the speed limit's 50, you're going 49. You're not in the position to get stopped. But a lot of it is discretionary.
Yeah.
You know, I tell them, have whatever process you're doing, have some sort of proof in the car. Because if you get stopped, they're going to see, hey, you don't have a license, probably don't have insurance,
Yeah.
which all of it is, they can arrest you for that. You know, so I tell them have it because most police don't want to do the paperwork to arrest you. They're just like, hey, do you have
Insurance.
something? It's like,
You ain't a wanted.
it's like,
criminal
well,
or
no, but I
something?
have, you know, I'm doing my asylum. I'm doing this, and most police will just say, okay, they'll give you a ticket and then get rid of you. And then common kindness
Yeah.
works.
Being kind.
You know,
Yeah.
just don't be an a-hole, and that's what I tell everybody because I've gone pulled over a few times, and if you're yes sir, no sir, you know, you're not being a punk. It's just it's just common kindness,
Yeah.
and they'll let it slide. They'll be okay. You know, just slow down.
Nah, the cop was cool. He just told me, hey, you can't be driving. You know that. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah, I know. I just my stuff literally comes in within like 3 or 4 months because they already sent me a letter from a while back. And he's like, well, can you park your car and then like call someone to pick you up? I was like, yeah. So like when he left, I just dipped. You know what I mean? But I mean, I went
Yeah.
to go.
Oh, he
park
didn't wait?
No, he didn't wait. I just went to go park my
Are
car.
you sure the statute of limitations is done on your case? 'Cause
Right.
This is going live right now.
The cop like, what the, bro? Nah, but it was just like he told me I couldn't be driving. or
But
whatever.
remember, and whoever is watching, remember, if you have status, if you don't have status, you're still protected under the same laws everybody else is.
Yeah.
You know, I had a case recently, and they pulled him over for, to me, a BS reason. But, you know, hey, can I search your car? You know, you have to tell me the truth. I'm a police officer. Can I do this? Can I do this? And I told him, like, why did you do all that? And he's like, well, I thought I couldn't say no. And then it's like, well, if they're asking you, it's
You get
because they don't have permission to do it. You know, why do you think they're asking you and not just going right into your car and taking things? And
Because
he
you
was
need a
like,
search warrant to do that, right?
yeah, and he was like, well, I didn't think about that. It's like, yeah, if they're asking you, it's because they can't do it without your permission. But if you give them permission, well, they're going to take that inch and they're going to take a mile out of it. And of course, they find all this stuff, and it's like, no, if they're asking because you could give them a yes, you could give them a no. But the problem is that most people that have no status,
Don't know.
they're afraid. Well, really,
Yeah.
it's more
Yeah.
fear, and it's like, okay, well, if I tell them yes or I tell them no, or if I tell them no, well, then
They're gonna be asking.
They're gonna do
they're going to
anyways,
get
probably.
real upset about it. But first things first, don't do anything. Use your blinker. Don't be like every Houstonian. Actually, use your blinker.
Yeah. Nah, I drive like a grandpa. for real.
Don't swerve. Go under the speed limit, and you'll be fine. You know, there's a lot worse drivers out
I have
there.
a question for you too. Also, one of my friends. Now I'm playing. Now, so what? If you're if you're like undocumented or whatever, and you don't have like, can you like, what'll happen if you have a handgun on you or like a, you know what I mean? Like, what's up with that?
Are you allowed to carry it? Or like-
So yeah, are you allowed to carry it or like, what's up? You know what I mean?
That's actually a good question. I've never had that come up. I mean, are you
As
trying
long
to,
as
are
it's
you
not
trying to
dirty.
live like Boys in the Hood or what? It's like,
Nah, but so,
We're in
but-
Texas,
so-
boy,
so-
what you
yeah.
got?
So I talked to one of a cop homie, and he said that Texas has a law that anybody. So he's like, if it were up to me, like, just don't leave it in your house or whatever. But you know
because
what I mean?
I know Texas is open carry, so
Yeah.
you can walk anywhere you want with a gun.
As long as it's not dirty, right? Or has any?
I mean, don't use it to commit a crime, but you can have it. But if you've been convicted of a felony, then no, you can't. That's one of the things they tell you. If you've been convicted of a felony,
Yeah,
you
felony.
can't.
That don't apply
Nah,
to
I'm
you.
clean as
Yeah.
hell.
But if you're undocumented, I'm gonna say no. but that's based on absolutely nothing.
Okay.
You know, that's what I would tell a client. If somebody
In Texas, though. Only,
yeah,
probably.
if somebody came to my office and said, "Hey, you know, I got an AK in the car, but I'm undocumented. What can I do?"
Oh
like,
shit!
leave the AK at home. You know,
That'd be for the first time.
That would be my advice to them. But it would be based on.
Bro, how he get an AK if he's undocumented?
There's ways.
And
right?
Facebook is.
And if you've been to that flea market on telephone, you can probably get a lot of stuff there.
What the fuck, bro? Just like Japanese stars, I've seen them in there.
It's just about being.
What about? I have a question.
Uh-huh.
What about if you're American? You have a pistol or firearm, but you also have marijuana on you, but it's open carry.
It's unlawful.
You're gonna
carry.
get unlawful use of carrying a weapon, right?
Yes. Yeah, because it's.
So the whole open carry gets waived because now you have drugs, right?
Yes, because you can't have a gun if you're committing another crime.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so for example, you can have a gun while you're driving. I'm sure a lot of people do.
Yeah.
But if you're driving while intoxicated and you have a gun, now you're carrying a gun during the commission of a crime, which now becomes the unlawful carrying of a weapon. Now those are easy to the unlawful carrying of a weapon.
Is that pretty common? I hear that a lot.
It's very common.
Right.
I'm going to give everybody whoever watches this later, I'm going to give you some free advice. All you do, if you have an unlawful carrying of a weapon, you don't need an attorney. You know, I'm costing myself money, but you don't need an attorney. You just go to the district attorney, the assistant district attorney, and offer to surrender your gun. If you tell them, hey, I don't want my pistol anymore, they'll have you sign a form. They'll dismiss the case right there.
Yeah, I heard
Oh
that.
dang!
Yeah.
Hey, but you got to give him the pistol.
But you can't have multiple.
No, they keep
you're
the
surrendering
pistol.
it.
Yeah,
you're saying, hey, I don't want it back.
Mm,
They destroy it or they do whatever they want with it.
damn.
But you
Give
get
it to
the
a
case
buddy.
dismissed.
Put it back in the neighborhoods.
Hey, but what?
Drop it off in third ward.
Right? They're like, yeah, we're gonna feed it back to the hood. Just toss it. Dang, that's fire. I did not know that.
That's good advice.
I know that is really good advice.
It's but I mean you
Okay.
can't have multiple.
Mhm.
That's for like a first time.
Right,
Got like
right.
9 guns.
Little slap
Yeah.
on the wrist.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, I want to turn these 10 guns in, right?
No, it's just talking to the district attorney. They they're so swamped with work that if
They don't want to deal
you
with
can
anything
reasonably
else.
explain what happened, they'll give you a lot of
Little
kind
slap.
of
Slack.
slack to
That's
to-
fire.
kind of let things slide because there's way worse criminals out there
Yeah.
that are unlawful carrying of a weapon. Like they're not gonna,
Mm-hmm.
as long as it's only unlawful if you have it. If you don't have it, well then it's no longer unlawful,
Mm.
and then be done with it.
Yeah.
Okay, I got another question.
Just
It's another gun question. That's why I stay on the subject.
we need to stop telling ourselves.
No.
No, I'm playing.
So, if I buy a gun off Facebook and everything's completely like clean, obviously, and I get put over with it, but it's not under my name, like would I still be like in the clear, or like do I have to go put it under my name, or like,
It's always best. I remember I
how
bought
do you
it
even put a gun like under your name? Man?
You don't really need to. All you need is a bill of sale.
because there's a I think it's called a straw sale where you can buy it from somebody else
Right.
and you're fine.
You're good.
As long as you have the receipt to prove it. I remember when I bought my first gun. This was back in college, and I remember I called the Waco PD. Hey, I bought a gun. Like, what do I have to register? Do I have to tell you guys about it? And the officer was like, I don't give a shit. And he hung up on me. So basically, I've accepted that as the answer.
Right.
As long
Yeah.
as the serial number ain't scratched off. Or
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
To me, as long as you buy it, with the right paperwork in terms of, hey, I bought it from so and so for this amount of money, I think you should be.
What about if
Fine.
the original buyer like committed a crime is now in jail? Like they don't have anything to do with it. Like if it's
I don't think so, but if the police track it to you, you better have an explanation.
yeah.
He seemed like a nice guy when I bought it from him.
Hey, this motherfucker.
like I saw a severed head in his trunk. I didn't think too much about it, but he told me
He had Blue Lives Matter on his sticker on his car.
Blue Lives
So-
Matter.
a lot of it is just having the common sense of, none of us here are hardcore gangsters.
Yeah.
There's some out there that know how to work the system, know how to stay underground. I don't. That's why I generally
Stay out of trouble.
try to stay out of trouble
Yeah.
because I know, you know, I won't survive on the streets, and if I go to prison, I'm probably gonna be the first one stabbed. You know, like so I kind of live my
I've been
life.
stabbed.
I live my life with that in mind.
For sure.
You know, a lot of it's just common sense. You know, if you're gonna buy a gun from somebody, make sure it's somebody that you know or that you can reasonably, you know, even going to an attorney and say, hey, can you do a background check on this guy?
Mm-hmm.
You know, or even an investigator.
What
And
about-
if that guy has like 6 or 7 warrants out, you know,
Probably not cool to buy a gun.
probably
from
don't
him.
buy it from him. But
Yeah.
you know, if it's a normal guy,
What if he
then-
bought it before those 6 warrants?
What?
I mean,
Just stay away from that guy.
yeah, just stay away from that guy. He shouldn't be selling stuff on marketplace.
One more question regarding guns. I don't know if y'all have any more, but what do you do when you find a gun?
Oh, you
Like-
just turned it in.
What if
What?
you don't turn it in?
Then
What do you mean turn it in? Like
you know, Texas
Police
is.
station.
Because I talked to a cop. Okay, I found a gun, right? I was with my family.
Fuck.
I found a gun.
Dude, no.
There's nothing wrong. The gun's clean. And I asked my friend, he's a police officer. Yeah, he's going to be anonymous. He told me he's like, don't ride around with it. He's like, if you're going to keep it, just keep it in your house.
Okay, well, devil's advocate. Let's say I'm James Hernandez, the prosecutor. How in the hell do you know this gun is clean?
Oh, he looked at it. I sent him the serial number, and he said I'm good.
Okay.
But he just said, just, you know.
Again, going back to common sense, you know, finding a gun on the street is not like finding $5 on the street. You know, you pick up the $5, you leave the gun there, or you give it to the police, let them do whatever they're going to do with it, because you
Throw it
don't
back at their
know.
ward.
You don't know with guns. You really don't.
Yeah.
You know, you're successful enough that you can buy a gun.
Yeah.
You know, a street gun is not necessary, a necessary part of your arsenal. You know, again, common sense.
Yeah, the cop
There's-
literally
there's-
told me just, you know, he's like,
Okay.
Call the police. Hey, there's a gun here. If it's clean, can I have it?
Uh-huh.
They might tell you no, but you know, at least you know that the gun is clean.
mm-hmm.
They might not give it to you, but at least, hey, and best case scenario was used in a murder that you helped solve, and they give you Crime Stopper money. You know, there's a silver lining to it.
Yeah, he literally was like,
They
damn,
give
which
you-
Walmart do you shop at? I was like, can't tell you.
I'm finna start going over there, though. I'm finna give you a James Coney Island gift certificate. Right? Like, nah, but one more gun question. What if you get caught with a gun with a switch? What
Oh,
is
you're
that
done.
a crime?
You're
like,
done.
That's a felony.
You're
Yeah.
done, dog.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a felony.
for real.
Yeah.
Like
Can't have
like
that.
a big felony.
Yes. You basically turn the pistol to automatic machine.
Yeah, I
you
think it's
can't- you
automatically
can't turn
5 years,
things-
right? What is it? Automatically 5
Yeah.
years?
What is the consequences?
It's automatic.
For that?
I mean, you're going to prison.
Mhm.
I don't know for how long.
Automatically.
Depends on what your attorney does for you, but
What if
It-
you're my
it's-
attorney?
it's like no, you're probably getting like just as a lesson. You're going to jail, bitch.
Oh, fuck.
It's like this. I had this client, and he had on his motorcycle one of those license plates that you can flip,
Yeah.
and he thought he had it because he just thought it was a
Like a
that
cool
was
neat
gadget.
thing, like it's just a cool thing to have. And he showed me the bike, and I'm like, okay, I mean you're not supposed to have that. So he gets arrested for it, and it's like, and they tell him, well, he thinks it's not a big deal, and it's like, no, that's a misdemeanor. You know, that's illegal to have. And he was like, no, it's not. And it's like, yeah, it is. And it's one of those things that you don't think about, but
Yeah.
why do you need a license plate that flips? Why do you need something that turns a regular gun into a military assault weapon?
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
No, I feel
it's
that.
just
Common sense. Like
some
you
things
said.
are illegal because they should be illegal.
Mhm.
You know, now you could talk about marijuana. I don't think marijuana should be illegal. Some people think I don't
Yeah.
think it is, but you know, but should crack be illegal? Yes,
Yes.
because at some point you get too high, and that's one of those things. Should guns be legal? No, I mean because they're not. You can buy them, but should turning a gun into a military style gun be illegal? Probably, unless you're going to start a war with the Fifth Ward. There's no need to have it. You know?
Yeah.
Like you can't get your buddies and go up to Greenspoint and start a war with somebody.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
that's the only reason you would need an automatic weapon.
No,
So-
I feel you. I just didn't, you know what I mean? I wanted to see what's up with you.
He was just trying to give one of his friends some legal advice.
Yeah.
Just buy a gun the right way. Guns are fun to have, man. I'd love to go shooting. You know, it's a fun thing to do, but
Do you have any?
my gun was
ARs or
purchased legally.
Do you own
correctly.
any guns?
I have one, a Smith & Wesson 9mm, which they don't make anymore, so it's kind of, I don't know if it's valuable or anything, but I like shooting it. And the fun thing to do is you go to those shooting ranges, they have all the weapons, you go rent them, and
Just hold it sideways.
We need to take a Space City trip to the
Yeah.
shooting range.
No, for real.
should film that.
I know.
But I remember I went, the last time I went with another attorney, Kevin Castillo, we went to a shooting range, and they had the laser sight. Never used the laser sight, so it's like this little mirror and the laser sight, and I couldn't figure it out. So I thought I was aiming for the head, and I kept shooting the paper in the nuts, like just bah, 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 and I'm like, why do I keep shooting this guy in like the testicles? Like that's not normal. And then they had to explain like, oh well, you have to line it up correctly, dum-dum. And it's like, oh, okay, once I figured it out, I shot it in the head. But, you know, now I know that if Armageddon breaks out, I'm not going to use a laser weapon because apparently I can't fire those for crap. But if you go, let me know. There's a place I used to go to on Greenway Gardens where that Joel Osteen church is.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's called Hot Shots, maybe. I don't remember, but it's like a inexpensive and like because you have these fancy ones.
Yeah.
And they're trying to be like the Top Golf of shooting ranges, and it's like, I'm not going to pay $100 to buy bullets to go shoot. I think the other place was like $30-$40. So it was a lot of fun.
And what are let's change subject. We're talking about guns. What are like the rights of parents with kids that are born in the USA? Like, I know Trump's trying to. They say Trump's trying to change that, right? But
Are you talking about for undocumented parents? The first thing is there's no really such thing as anchor babies. You know, a person can't stay here because their kid's a U.S. citizen. Now, a child can file a petition, a petition to do to change the status of a parent when they turn 21. The problem is that you really can't go past that. Once you get the I-130 approved, then you can either go to an adjustment of status if you came in with a visa or something like that, you came in with legal status, or you go through the MVC process. The problem is that once a child turns 21, they do the I-130, get that approved, you're kind of stuck because there's no way to get status for the parent. But what I tell people is that it's good just to have the I-130. I-130 is it's basically showing the U.S. government, or it's proof that the U.S. government believes that the relationship is legal. So if you're married, they want to know your marriage wasn't fraudulent. You weren't getting married for
papers.
For papers. Then if they say it's a valid marriage, I-130. If it's a parent petitioning a child, same thing, I-130. Child petitioning the parent, I-130. All the I-130 is just letting you know that the government believes it's a valid relationship. What happened, and this was in the 90s, kind of the same thing happened. I-130, but you can't do anything after that. So some people said, well, let's just do the I-130. Let's just have it ready. Some people were like, no, screw it. If I'm not going to get any benefit, what's the point? And so like 15, 20 years later, the government said, hey, if you did your I-130 in the 90s, we're going to go ahead and let you continue on doing your stats. It's 245I. And the people that actually did it in the 90s were like, well, hell yeah, I waited, but now I could do my status. And then the people that didn't do it were like, oh, well, I didn't know I could do it. Can I do it now? It's like, no, you had your chance in the 90s. Now you can't do it. So that's why I tell everybody, at least have the I-130, because the I-130, at a minimum, says you have a valid marriage, you have a valid relationship with your child, you have a valid relationship with a parent. You know, so, but in terms of getting them status, they have to wait till they're 21. And even then, you really can't do much past that.
You heard that?
No, that's how my mama got her stuff recently through my brother, but it was like a big ass thing because my brother had like a felony or he had something, so they like sent her paperwork back and like he had the it's like a big old mess. And then he had missing papers from like his taxes and shit like that, so it was just like a big old thing she had to go through. It was like a big old mess.
But it's worth it.
Nah, she be going everywhere now.
It's one of those things that people ask me if it's worth it. It's like, well, hell yeah, it's worth it. You know, like you came all this way, like why stop?
Nah, I know,
you know?
for real.
Because you get these people and it's like, well, I don't want to pay the money, and it's like, yeah, pay the money. You need to, you know, like some of these people could be citizens by 2030 if everything works out, and they're like, oh, okay, well, that's not a lot of time. Like, yeah, you could be a United States citizen and you know, by the end of the decade. Like, who doesn't want that? You know, especially when you have millions of others that have nothing and no chance to get status. I mean, you're kind of doing them a disservice by you having the opportunity to do something and saying no, it's too expensive, because, you know, not even attorney's fees, just the cost of the paperwork.
It's expensive, right?
12, 1,300, 14.
It's like 17. They like moved
But that's
it
gonna
up,
be
right?
worth it for the person, the undocumented. What if like somebody's married and one of them is undocumented, and they just kind of go like that for a long time? What more benefit? Like, what? How would it benefit the person that's undocumented in the marriage more? Like when it comes to doing taxes and stuff like that.
There is no benefit. You need to do it immediately. Like,
I had a homie who got married like that, and they never like filed for anything ever, and he ended up just getting deported. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
my best friend's married, and his wife is from Mexico, but they've never done anything to. I don't think she has her stuff yet, but they're married.
They need to do something.
They need to hit up my boy.
Like yesterday, they need to do something, because it's really, and I tell people, the day after you're married, come over here. We'll start the paperwork, you know, because it's really what Mitch said. You have people that, you know, let's say they've been married for 10 years. By then, they've already would have had the residency if they did everything the right way. Well, he gets robbery, DWI. He gets arrested. Well, now there's a chance he's going to get sent to immigration court, and now you're going to say, well, he's married to a U.S. citizen. We're going to do a 485 or MVC case, something, and they're going to be like, well, no, that's going to take 5-10 years. You're detained. We need something immediate, and all you really have is an asylum, which very few people win, and so you're kind of just stuck taking deportation. And so that's why you need to tell your friend, like, unless it's some like agreement they have worked out, but if it's just laziness, like, they need to get
that's his wife, and they've been married like 10 years, I think, now.
Because he would have, who's the undocumented one?
The wife.
Okay, yeah, she would have had her status. Where some people get afraid, where some people do get afraid, is that let's say she didn't come in with status. She'll have to go back to her home country to finish the process, because you have to have one valid entry. If you came in with a visa, you do an adjustment of status. Everything is taken care of in the U.S. But if you do an MVC case, meaning you didn't come in with status, you're going to have to go back to your home country for 3, 4, 5 weeks. You have to do an interview. You have to do a medical exam. And there's still no guarantee that they're going to let you back in the country. So that's what a lot of people are.
They're like kind of run your case again, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Because they're like, well, what happens if I have to go back to El Salvador and they don't let me come back? It's like, well, now you're stuck until we can figure something out. And that's where a lot of people do get afraid of doing their process, because they're excited. Oh, but you have to go back to your home country. Like, nope. Like, I left there because I don't want to go back to it.
Mhm.
And now I'm gonna have to. Now you're telling me I have to willingly go back for a month, and that there's still no guarantee I'm gonna come back. And you hear a lot of horror stories about other attorneys that I've never had it. You know, knock on wood, never happened to me. But you have these other attorneys that they don't do their due diligence, and they'll send somebody back without checking their background.
Yeah.
And that person has like an old felony,
Mm-hmm.
old misdemeanor from 1980 something, and then, well, guess what? You have a criminal record.
Yeah, so you got to serve that first, and like they got to figure that
Well,
out.
they're
first
they're
and shit.
basically they try to come back and they're like, well, you can't come back. You have a criminal record.
Yeah.
And then the attorney would be like, well, you didn't tell me. And it's like, well, it's from the 1980s. I thought it wouldn't have come up anymore. And now they're stuck in essentially what becomes a foreign country again, and may never come back, or they have previous deportation that they didn't know about, because you can be deported without knowing by accident. You know, you don't go to your court case, you don't do your due diligence. They go back and then like, oh, you have a removal order from 1990. Oh, I didn't know that. It's like, well, that's the attorney's job to look,
figure all
but
that out, right?
you know, you're depending a lot on other people, which is a scary thing for anybody. And then so that's probably why she doesn't want to do it, because another attorney probably said, hey, you're gonna have to go
Bro,
back to your home
I've heard
country.
some horror stories like that from Manuel Solis. That, for real, I swear, bro.
Same.
Yeah,
We're
like
not gonna
straight
talk
up.
about that.
Yeah,
Oh,
let's not get sued, all right?
Right? Nah, one of the immigration lawyers here in Houston.
And I know you say you did a little bit of family, like, what is it called? Like
Just family law.
Like family law. What are some cases that kind of stuck with you? Because I know those they're a little different, right?
No, I hate family law.
They get messy, I'm sure, right?
I hate family law, so I don't do it, thankfully. I used to do it, and it never got, you know, because you do hear stories. You know, kids are involved, you know. But I'll tell you a funny story, and this is why I decided, like, no, you know. And even though no, I still did them for a couple more years. But I was working for another attorney, and we were doing a mediation, and we're trying to figure out how much money he's going to give her, because they had money in their savings. And she was like, if you get me like,
And this is like a divorce?
yeah,
Okay.
it's like, if you give me 30,000, I'm fine. I'll take it. Go to the other attorney. Hey, 30,000, we get this done. Okay. Talks to his client, comes back. Okay, client agrees to 30,000. So I go with my client. Okay, we're done. 30,000. She was like, well, that was kind of quick. If he give me 30, why can't he give me 40? I was like, because you asked for 30. It's like, why now I want 40? It's like, go back, and I tell the other attorney, okay, she wants 40 now. He's like, hey, you said 30 and we're done. I'm like, yeah, but now she wants 40. Okay. He goes back, 20, 30 minutes comes by. He comes by, he's like, okay, I finally got him to agree to it. Are we done? Go back to my client. Okay, he said 40, so let's get this done. Well, if he's saying 40, now I want 50.
Again?
So I go back, and the guy was like, where's the papers? Are they signed? I'm like, no, now she wants 50. And he's like, dude, what? Now you're just being an asshole. Like, what are we doing? I'm like, look, I'm trying. You know, this is what she's telling me. So comes back like an hour later. Okay, I got the 50. Are we done? I can't see why we're not. So I go back to my client. All right, I got you exactly what you wanted. Let's get this signed. She was like, well, now I'm thinking I want, and I'm like, you know what? I'm leaving. I'm done. She's like, what do you mean you're leaving? I'm like, no, bye. And I walked out, and I left. And she called my phone a few times. I never answered. And then she eventually told another attorney. That attorney kind of finished it, but that's when I was like, no, I'm done with family law. And they had kids, so you would think the kids would be the more, more important. Like, how are we going to fit? No, it was
about the money.
And even then, I mean, money's important. I'm not going to say that it's not,
Yeah.
but it was just, it was too much drama, too much for the amount that you were getting paid for it. And so no, like
Isn't worth
family laws. As soon as I was economically able to not do family, like no, that was out the window.
What about like a immigration case that kind of stuck with you a little bit?
Immigration, yes. And the saddest one I ever did, the child was a 7-year-old. A 7-year-old, they call them respondents, but basically like a defendant. A 7-year-old doesn't know what the hell's going on. And that's the saddest part about it. And you want to get angry, you want to get mad. And, you know, the nice little kid, I mean, he's going to be a superstar someday. But he's always going to have that deportation order. So I'm like, I'm talking to the ICE attorney. I'm like, what are we doing here? Kid's 7. Like, he was literally watching cartoons like 2 hours ago, and now we have him in a hearing. Like, let's just.
And he's by himself?
The mom is there, but the reason that they wanted to continue with the kid, because normally you can ask, there's what's called prosecutorial discretion, where you can ask ICE to give the kid a break, and they'll terminate the case, meaning that they'll give him a chance to get status some other way. But the mom kind of used them a little bit because she had come earlier, was deported, and then she came back with the child. So they had to basically let her in to take care of the child. So her case was different than the boys, but ICE didn't want to give us determination because the mom was a reentry. And so I'm like, so are we really going to put a 7-year-old on trial here? And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, I went to law school for this. Like, what kind of ridiculous crap is this? Like, he literally has no clue what's going on. And the judge, I remember the judge came out, really nice guy. He was like, okay, so I'm assuming we're terminating this case, right? And the ICE is like, no, like we're gonna continue. And it's like, you can't be serious. Like, am I in a dream right now? Like, this is literally a 7-year-old child. Like, my boy is 7 years old. My son has no idea what I do because he's still too little to understand what a lawyer does. So can you imagine this kid, and all he's seen is his mom that can't sit with him, an attorney that he kind of knows. I'm almost like Santa Claus. Like, he knows I exist, but not really. An ICE attorney that's an a-hole, and a judge. And this poor kid is like, he's handling it, but it's like all these words in a different language that he doesn't understand, and basically ordering this kid deported. And I'm like, this is the stupidest shit I've ever been a part of. Yeah, I was representing the kid. And I'm like, and you have no words for it. You know, this is what I signed up to do. I mean, I'm not blaming anybody.
Do you think about stuff like when you're like go home? Do you think about like that day? Did you think about the kid? Obviously, right?
I want to say yes, but I always promised myself I was never going to take stuff home. You know, and that's where you get into a lot of trouble, like in a home life, where you get mad at somebody, but you're not mad at them. You're mad at the day.
The situation, yeah.
You know, you buy fake shoes for $1,000. Yeah, you're pissed, but your wife or girlfriend doesn't understand that. You know, she wasn't there, so she's like, "Why are you getting mad at me? Like, I didn't sell you the shoes." And so it's about being able to compartmentalize everything. I have a friend, a really good friend, Jaime, and he's a doctor in Mexico. And I forgot what we were talking about, but I texted him something, and one of his patients had passed away, but he said it very like, oh, one of my patients died. And so I'm thinking like, oh man, you know, I'm texting like, I'm so sorry, you know, if you need anything, like I'm here for you. And he was like, no, it happens. Like that's what being a doctor is. I mean, you're gonna have patients that die and you move on. And I'm like, and I was thinking like, oh man, that's messed up. But then I'm thinking I'm doing the exact same thing because you know, you lose a case, you know, somebody gets put into prison where they're probably not going to enjoy it for the next 5-6 years, but you can't be thinking about it because, one, your family doesn't know about it, and then two, it's going to affect your next client that has the same issue, and then you're going to affect their case because you can't put aside what happened. So you're mad, you're upset, but then you move on to the next thing. And then it stays in the back of your mind, but it doesn't, you try not to let it affect you, because if you let it affect you, then it'll affect you. I mean, like, poor kid, you know, unless something drastically changes, he's not going to be able to do anything because there's always going to be a deportation order. And he's going to be 20, 30 years old, and something happens, and it's like, oh, you had a deportation order when you were 7. It's like, I don't remember that. I was 7. It's like, yeah. Well.
That's fucked up.
So they still hold you, they held that against him?
Yeah, you have a deportation order your whole life.
Oh,
you know, unless you're able. In some cases, I mean, you can reopen it, but that's not a guarantee.
Okay.
You know, so stuff like that. I think anything involving kids, it's always a sad thing because kids don't.
They don't know.
No, I mean, criminal law. I mean, some people really are innocent, and it affects you a little bit, but when it's kids, it's different because they're kids. You know, you have kids. You know, can you imagine one of your kids being put on the stand and having to defend themselves?
Yeah.
Like, why did you leave your home country? It's like, I don't know. I was 5. Like I don't know. And so that's the saddest part. But everything else is.
You try not to get too attached.
Yeah, it's like when I was coaching. You know, you lose a game, you're upset, you're bummed, but then guess what? Saturday morning, you guys start getting ready for the next game. Win or lose, okay, you're happy or you're sad. You get up that next morning and you're preparing for the next game. So that kind of helped, but yeah, because if you let things start affecting you, then it's just gonna. And that's where you get those attorneys that you know get alcohol problems, get drug problems, get this because they can't. The stress.
That's their coping mechanism.
Yeah, and that's the reason I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, and it's not for like religious reasons or anything. I'm just afraid that, you know, that happens. Okay, well I'm gonna take a drink. Well, I feel better, and it's like, okay, well if one drink made me feel good, then 2 is gonna make me feel better. Oh well, 2's not working anymore. Let me try 3, and I mean it probably won't happen, but why risk it? You know. So
how long have you not drank?
Oh, years. Once kind of college ended. You know, you have your fun in college, and then. I mean, I don't not drink, but it's not like an every week or it's every once in a while. You know, I know you guys used to be represented by Saloon Door.
Right here.
Yeah, I know. I always see them. I always see them on when I go home because they're in Webster. So I always see them when I take that NASA.
Oh, you live in the back
bypass?
Like, yeah.
Yes, I always see him there, but I haven't gone in. Is it a nice place? Have you all been there?
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah.
Thanks for the invite.
Next time.
Right now we went for jiu-jitsu.
They had a 10-year anniversary for Gracie Baja.
15, right?
10.
15.
You sure?
That's what I think. I have the thing at home.
Okay.
Is that the one on the Gulf Freeway?
It's right off NASA Parkway.
Yeah, okay. I've seen it. It before.
It was 15 because I've been there 12 years.
Yeah. I kept the thing in my career.
That's like I'm kind of surprised that there is a Gracie school here because they're kind of the number one, right?
Well, Gracie Baja in Houston's number one for sure, and arguably in the world too. But there's different teams out there.
I like that.
But that's a top school for sure.
Do you watch fights?
No, but I was telling you, I remember watching the very first UFC pay-per-view, and it was like the early 90s. But see, this was when UFC was like what the pure thing of it was, where you would just have, wasn't really that there was no rules, but there weren't any rules, but like you would get different fighters from different styles. So you would have like, I remember it was Ken Shamrock, who was like the number one wrestler, and I think it was Royce Gracie,
Mm-hmm.
who was like the
Jiu-jitsu.
number one jiu-jitsu, and I mean, like, hey, okay, let's see who's the best, and then I forgot who won, but then you'd have like a sumo wrestler versus, you
A
know, whatever,
boxer.
like some bar fighter, and it was like back when UFC was like the pure part of it was just, let's see who really was the best fighter. And eventually figured out it was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's why everybody does it now. But back then it was,
Yeah,
you
you
know,
have
almost like-
different art.
it was almost like Mortal Kombat. Like,
Yeah.
Oh,
okay,
right.
let's get Jean-Claude Van Damme fighter versus, you know,
Liu Kang.
Liu Kang, you know, and then,
It
or
was
let's
like
get a
that.
Taekwondo versus a Tai Chi guy. Or let's get a sumo guy versus a Olympic wrestler.
Even when the boxer came in, Art, what's his name?
Balrog
With
was
the
the
one
Street
glove.
Fighter.
He had no in UFC.
Oh, you see. Oh, I don't remember.
He came in
With
a
a
boxer.
boxing glove?
A boxer came in with a boxing glove, just one glove. Yeah, look him up.
What the hell?
Did he win?
I don't think so.
Did you
Probably,
get
probably
smashed
needed
on?
that second. Probably don't
I
even
think
need
they
gloves.
took him to the
But
ground. And
Yeah, I think they took him to the ground.
no, but I remember. And then eventually they figured out that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was going to be the, you know, because I think the Gracies kept winning,
Yeah.
and then after the Gracies,
Everybody had
it
learned.
was with the Silvas. The Silvas kind of had their moment too, and but now I remember all those original, and then it started getting big, and then Dana
Yeah.
White got in
Mhm.
there, and then
Joe Rogan with a little bit of hair.
yeah, and I kind of stopped watching after that. But no, when I was
Did you ever train anything? Any boxing or any?
no, but I
Jiu-jitsu?
did.
he did track, bro.
I did try jujitsu. It wasn't for
Oh,
me.
you did?
My brother-in-law swears by it, but no, it was
boy's
kind
a
of
black
like
belt.
I'm a black belt.
no. I mean, you probably kick my ass. You know,
Yeah.
congrats, man. You know, I'll sue you. So yeah,
Let's see who wins, bro.
We all got our superpowers, but no. When I was in college, by my senior year, I was pretty much done. I didn't really have a lot of people that I talked to, and then I joined a boxing gym in this real kind of hood part of Waco, and they were training for Tough Man, which you guys are probably a little too young to remember. Tough Man, Diego, you remember what Tough Man was?
Yes.
Yeah, Tough Man used to be like, essentially, everybody comes in, pays like $50.
And this was aired?
No. This is if you know Butterbean.
Yeah.
Butterbean, he was on Jackass. That's how he got famous.
Butterbean was a boxer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but before that, he was Tough Man, which Tough Man's boxing. But what they would do is they would put the helmet on or the
Headgear.
mask or whatever, and kind of like heavyweight gloves, but a little bit heavier, maybe like 18 to 20
18-ounce
ounces.
gloves, yeah.
And it would be 3 1-minute rounds, and you would just come out and just bar fight, you know?
Damn.
And I was like, no, I was
That's still around?
training in this boxing gym, and there was like 4 or 5 guys, and they were training, and they were like, hey, we're going to do it. Do you want to try it? And my dumbass said, yeah. I've never been hit in the face before, but why not? Let me see what's going on, right? So I'm watching them. I'm like, okay, I'm going to end up fighting one of these guys, so let me kind of, so I'm, you know, boxing, and I'm watching them, and I'm kind of learning like their strengths and their weaknesses. So night of the fight, it's like in some crappy junior high baseball field, right? It was nothing. And I'm fighting one of the guys from the gym I go to. And big guy, 6'3", 260.
There wasn't weight classes?
No.
Okay.
No,
Okay,
literally,
wait.
you show up in whatever you want. They give you the gloves, they give you the mask. You have to bring your own mouthpiece and get after it. Like, I was literally like in an Abercrombie shirt and like cargo pants, like cargo shorts. And I remember, I'm like, okay, this guy could throw a right uppercut like Mike Tyson. But everything else he wasn't that good at. So I'm like, okay, if I could get away from his uppercut, I think I could win this fight. So we're fighting, right? And I'm throwing like the weakest punches ever, but they're landing. So I'm like, I think I'm winning because he's missing, but he's throwing like haymakers. And I'm thinner at this point, so I'm avoiding. Make it first round, second round. Third round, I think I'm winning because I'm actually hitting him. 0 power, but I'm hitting him. Like almost like Olympic boxing. You know, how did you win? You threw like
Points.
yeah. So about 12 seconds left, right? I hear they do that thing, the 10 seconds left. I look, for some reason, this guy hits me with the biggest uppercut I've ever had. And I remember looking up, and I always thought it was BS when you see cartoons and you see the stars. You see, I don't know if you've ever been knocked out before.
Stars,
You see stars,
I saw
flashing
stars.
lights. All that.
I saw stars, and I distinctly remember, like, stars. Boom. I'm out. And I kind of come to, and I'm thinking, like, I'm probably going to wake up in a hospital or something, right? So I open my eyes, and I hear 4, 5, and I'm like, oh, crap, I'm not dead yet. So I get up, and the
Time was up already, right?
well, he cleans my gloves, and I just stand there like this dude's gonna knock me into next week, and then 4, 3, 2, 1, fight, and I win the match. I win, and I'm like, this dude's pissed, and so I'm like, I shake his hand, he walks away, so I get out. I'm still no idea what's going on. And the person that was running the thing was like, okay, I need you back like in 15 minutes. You're gonna fight next. And I'm like, who am I gonna fight? And it was this dude, jorts, Air Force Ones, wife beater, like tatted up. And I'm like, I'm not beating this guy. And I'm like, was it that boxer Roberto Duran? The black force, like, like, and I'm like, no mas, I'm done. And he was like, are you sure? And I'm like, no, like, one punch, I'm gonna die.
You're not even getting paid for this shit, right?
No, I paid $50 to join. And so I went to the guy, and I'm like, I'm not gonna fight you. And he was like, okay. So he walks away. I tell him I'm done, and I went to the stands, and I ended up watching the rest of it. And that guy ended up winning. Like, he was good. Like, he would have killed me.
Them black Air Forces came in clutch.
Yeah, he was ready. He was ready to.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it's probably somewhere in some backwater county in some state or something. But yeah, it had its moment. But it was literally just bar fighting. And so my professional boxing record is 1 win, no loss, retired undefeated.
Oh shit.
So,
Mayweather.
My boy.
So no, that was my only, like,
and that's crazy.
Combat sport.
Yeah.
And
You basically had no training? Not much.
3 weeks, maybe 2.5, 3 weeks.
Damn.
But
Right.
it's one of those things that I don't like. If it's something reasonable, I don't like saying no to it, because I don't want to be older and then be like, well, I could have done,
Yeah.
So I almost died, but at least I have a good story out of it.
Yeah, concussion and shit.
So I probably had, this is before all the concussion stuff, so I think I had a headache for 3 days. And
Oh shit.
I forgot most of my math class, but other than that, I was I was good. I woke up and it was like 4 days later, but it was a good story to tell.
For sure.
But now
That's a great story.
I tried jujitsu. Like I said, my brother-in-law was real big into it. He has my niece in
Oh, really?
jujitsu. She loves it. He sent me a video yesterday. She's 7 or 8.
Mm-hmm.
She like flipped this kid. I'm like, damn, so she couldn't fight anymore.
They're in Houston?
No, this is in Laredo.
Okay.
But, I guess they had taught them how to do flips, or like the hip throw. And she was the only one that can do it, so they were like, no, you just kind of jumped ahead, like, above everybody, so they kind of sat her down until everybody could catch up. So I was like, hell yeah, man, that's awesome. But no, I tried it, and it was like, hey, you put your hand here, and you put your hand here, and then you put your leg there, and then they're going to pass out. I'm like, nah. like, I'm good. I paid like $200 for a gi, and that was it.
Oh, you had a gi?
Well, yeah, because it was one of those, like...
You have to buy it.
Yeah, you had to buy it to do it, and I'm like... So I had a gi, and I think I just threw it away. But...
Dang, let me
No, that was...
Well, I ask this question every podcast. So, do you believe in aliens, or have you ever seen anything in the sky or anything like that?
I believe in all that stuff. But you get these people that... Because I believe in religion too, but you can believe in a lot of stuff, because you get some people like, well, I'm religious, I don't believe in aliens, or I believe...
Oh, Mitch.
I remember there's a place in San Antonio, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, where if you put your car on the train tracks and then you put baby powder on the car, you can move the car. And I did that maybe sometime in college. And
oh, you did?
Is that real or?
I didn't. The car moved because you put it in neutral, but I think it's just because it's on a little hill. Yeah, it's gonna move no matter what. And then I think with just the wind and the condensation, you kind of see like it moved, like not handprints, but you know, you could tell people they're handprints and you wouldn't be lying.
So it's just some.
So
myth.
I like all that stuff, man. I do.
You never seen anything in the sky in Laredo or anything like that?
I've never seen anything in the sky, but I mean, there has to be stuff out there.
Yeah, what about that crash in Vegas?
Oh yeah, what's up with that?
Did you see that?
Oh, the one that those are probably just like crackheads, like running around and stuff. You know, how in this day and age, you can't take a picture of anything.
I think they had a video. They're like, was that?
They had a video. They had a video of the
video of the thing coming down.
But then you had that 911 call, like, hey, they're in the thing. They were calling from a landline. I don't think anybody owns a landline anymore, but like, they couldn't take one picture of these things that were in their backyard.
8 foot tall, apparently.
But there's this thing. I remember there's a show I like watching on YouTube. I think it's called the Y Files, WHY Files, and they kind of explore all that type of stuff. And you know, are aliens real? But there's one thing that kind of made sense. I think it was called the Fermi paradox. Basically, that we're either like the very first ones to be advanced to like understand, or we're so far into the future, like all these other civilizations have died out and we're the last ones. That's why we've never run into anybody. So I kind of think that, because if you think about it, I think we're kind of like, Star Wars takes place in the past. You know, and I remember I told my wife that, and she was like, no, it doesn't. It's like, yeah, it literally tells you in the very first line, long, long ago in a galaxy far, far away. So, you know, I think that we're kind of the last of it. You know, I think all this stuff happened in galaxies far away that we'll never know about. But
no, I don't think so.
It's
there's no way. It's so big. The universe is like humongous.
It's more fun to think that we're not alone. Now, do I think we're alone?
We're like
no.
a little speck. The Earth is like a little speck of sand on a beach in this universe.
But I will say, do you ever want to like know for sure that there's aliens?
I mean, if they show us better way of living and better technology,
no, they're probably just gonna
show us
kill
how
us
to
all.
Kill you, yeah.
It's like
they would have done it already. I think if they wanted to kill us all.
No, because every civilization.
I think they want us to advance and making sure we don't kill ourselves before.
Every civilization, the stronger one whoops the ass of the weaker one. You know, Native Americans, you know. If they're coming and they have light years technology.
They've been here forever, I promise you. It's been like since the 40s or 50s. Oh, like they've been covering this shit up.
Was it War of the Worlds where
I don't know how long.
They come from the bottom? Do I hope there's aliens? Yes. Do I ever want to see one? I can go my whole life and never see one. And I
want to see one.
I'll be happy.
I want to live like Futurama. You know how they're just random like different alien creatures like walking around and shit?
With the suicide booth.
I don't think I could do that.
Fucking the doctor with the clamps, like he walk in like.
I'm good on that.
No, Futurama would be fun, but
you could just travel to a different galaxy, like fuck it.
I'm happy in the time I live in now. You know, we're kind of in that because America's not going to be number one forever. But hey, you know, we're living in the best country, probably in the best state.
I don't know, man.
I'm good.
People are obsessed with
like, kind of the
gender and all that.
Politicians kind of went a little crazy.
So I don't know. It's kind of a bad time right now for America.
True. But
Ukraine and
I wouldn't want to live in like Vermont or something. That place sounds stupid. You know, like I'm very happy living in Houston. You know, being from Texas, I'm good with that. But
We're living in Mexico, hot as fuck.
Yeah, that's a good thing. We live in Texas. Imagine you're in Cali or something.
I would rather live,
Their politics out there are crazy.
not Futurama, I'd like to live in a Dragon Ball, shoot things out of my hands and stuff.
Oh
and
yeah, that would be sick. You're
I'll
flying.
take that. Yeah.
Well, they're aliens technically, so
Yeah. Well,
they just came down superpower and shit.
not Yamcha and Krillin. And
Yeah.
Is Master Roshi?
He's human.
He's a
He's human,
human.
yeah.
Okay.
He's the hardest one.
Yeah.
My favorite episode is. Did you ever see the baseball episode?
Yeah, well they play baseball.
And they just dog Yamcha like the whole game. That's my favorite episode
I hate Yamcha, bro.
of Dragon Ball.
I know, like he was a regular human too.
Mhm.
Yeah, Yamcha is.
Yeah, he got
So he
his
always
ass
got his ass
kicked every
kicked.
time.
See, it was weird
Krillin
because
too.
I used to watch Dragon Ball in college. Like the roommate I had, we would watch every day at 4.
Mm-hmm.
We would watch it.
Tsunami?
Tsunami, yeah,
I was
Tsunami.
getting out of middle school.
And then, wife get married. Wife doesn't know anything about Dragon Ball, so I make some friends, and they like Dragon Ball. And it was right when the Tournament of Power started.
Mhm.
You remember that? And that was badass because that was like a full on like Mortal Kombat, fight. So I don't think Android 17 should have won, but it was a good series. But I would like that. I want to shoot things out of my,
For real, right?
Yeah, I don't know if we're ready to be side by side to aliens. I don't know if that'd be even good for us.
I
They
don't
probably
think
would
so.
try to kill us.
Yeah.
I think they
Try
already
to
know
lure
about
bros
us, and
and
they
shit.
could have killed us a long time ago if they wanted to. They're just like analyzing us and making sure. Because have you ever heard like whenever nuclear bombs go off, that's when like a lot of UFO sightings begin because they're like, well, apparently one time they stopped a whole nuclear like attack because like they were pressing the button to launch the missiles, but the aliens like were there and they shut down all their like offensive equipment or everything. Like,
Do you think?
did you ever hear that?
No. I know. There's
I
that
just
that
heard it on
famous
Joe
story
Rogan. It was,
that
like in Russia, I think.
that like Kennedy prevented a nuclear war. That no, it was somebody from Russia. That there was like something that
That stopped all
the
their
U.S.
shit.
had sent missiles, so he was like, "Hey, so send yours," and he never did, and it turned out to be something.
They said they saw something in the sky, and apparently that thing shut off all their shit just to show them who's like, if we really wanted to, like, we could take y'all out right now.
I mean, do you think if aliens did come, do you think ICE would try to arrest them?
Yes.
Like you would have ICE like at their door, like, "Hey, you're undocumented." Like,
No, I
come with
think
me.
once aliens arrive, then it's gonna switch the whole everything like upside down. Like,
I don't think they're gonna arrive.
I think they're right here. We're just
Nah, I think the biggest go.
If they do it right, give me a call. I mean, I'll get you status here.
I mean, it happened in Brazil. It happened in Las Vegas. It happened in everywhere. It happened in Ellington Field, right here down the street. A crash, a UFO crash.
But that's
There's
the
so
thing.
much evidence, it's
But
just overwhelming,
See,
like-
that's the thing. Like, if they're able to, like, shut down a whole, panel or like a whole Russian whatever, why can't they like be able to not crash? They can be able to withstand themselves and not have it crash or have
What do you
this
mean?
fail or that. You know what I mean?
Things fail all the time.
Yeah, but they're so advanced in their technology
So
that they could
stuff
turn
fails
like.
regardless.
No,
like,
yeah, but
technology.
What I do believe, and
That's like saying
I'll-
like why is the game glitch is like perfect PlayStation.
I want to
glitching.
get your opinion on this. That now that they're doing like the Senate hearings on UFOs and like more information's coming out, that they're
They
preparing
literally
us,
said it. That's why I'm like,
that they're preparing us for that when they do come.
I'm not
like,
saying that
we're
they're not
already-
out there. I'm saying that I don't think it's a good idea to live with them.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You know what
I
I
agree
mean?
with both of you. I
Yeah.
think that they're here. Well, I don't think that they're here, but I think that the U.S. is preparing us for something. Because have you noticed it was always like, no,
But
they're
they-
never here, they're never
yeah.
here, never here. And all of a sudden,
they deny.
There's a
deny.
reason
Yeah.
why they're kind of putting stuff out.
yeah, now they're
Because
like,
they want to control.
because
like,
they want us to be calm when,
they don't want
something
everybody to go
does
into a
happen.
crisis. Like,
but,
So this is what I go ahead.
I'm with you. I don't want to live.
Yeah, like this is what I think. They're starting to show more aliens, like sightings. They want population control. So just how they did that COVID shit and they're controlling us like that, they're gonna use these aliens. This is my theory. I don't know if it's true, but they're gonna use these aliens to make the people like they're gonna something bad's gonna happen with involving aliens, and then that's when the government's gonna get involved. They're gonna make us live by their rules or make us do this, that, like how they did with COVID. They could be using aliens. There's a
Or they're gonna be like, that's not ethical.
why are aliens like all of a sudden just being like you said? They've always been around, right?
So you think COVID's a trial run?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh.
If you listen to Joe Rogan, it was for sure.
I think-
it was made in a lab.
What? Oh yeah, it
Oh,
was taken out of a lab and then it like spread. Or
Well, I don't think
whatever.
anybody believed the whole bat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Bat eating
Far-fetched.
bats. and
Nah, you'd
that
have to
was
bang a
little
bat or
too-
something like that, right? What they say. I believe that this is me. This is my point of view. I believe that they're getting ready. They are showing a whole bunch of stuff like alien, but they are getting ready like. And this is exactly like I said. This is what I believe. Like, so when Christ does come back, I'm religious. You know what I mean? That like the people that do go with him, that's gonna be like, oh well, the aliens took those people.
There's
you know
gonna
what I mean?
be a fake Christ.
Or like, yeah, hell yeah, there is gonna
Watch.
be a fake Antichrist. Yes, he has to be. So that's just what I believe in. You know what I mean? Like, and there probably is aliens out there and shit like that, but I don't know.
But are those aliens?
just believe
a
that
lot
they
of
would have
people
been
ask,
here
are those
already.
aliens? Why aren't they with us?
Yeah, I would
They
have
hide in
believed
the
it.
ocean. They hide anywhere where you're in the desert, in the middle of the desert. They have laboratories
Which
like
was,
Area 51.
But the
Cloverfield.
aliens
Yeah,
have
Yeah,
they
them.
have
because
all
they
the
found
What do you mean?
there
What do
was
you
a
mean?
body of an alien.
The alien
found a
has
long
them, or
time
the
ago.
government has them, like the labs.
No, the government has
The government
labs.
has Area 51, that's for sure.
And
And
52.
Bob Lazar was in there, like, trying to reverse engineer a
The spaceship.
spaceship that was not from Earth or whatever.
What the fuck?
Oh, the Bob Lazar one. Yeah, that dude seems pretty credible.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
I
Who the
think
hell is Bob Lazar?
he worked at Area 51.
He worked at Area 51. He like reverse engineered a UFO or something.
He
like
put
that.
he put a jet engine on his Honda, and that's how he got recruited to Area 51.
What the fuck?
So his Honda was like
0.3 seconds, right, on the quarter mile. What the heck?
Yeah,
There's a lot of questions.
Nah, for
But
real.
yeah, we just always
It's
ask.
a,
I think it's almost there. So we're like,
there has to be a reason why there's so much more government talking about UFOs. That there has to be something to it
There's
because
an agenda, right?
Yeah.
like when I was
It's like
growing up, it
propaganda
was
when they-
always
like
no,
what you
no,
said.
no. It's a weather balloon. It's this. It's this. It's this. And now it's like, oh no, we're gonna have hearings on UFOs now. We're gonna have this and like, oh, let's
I
get a
think
release.
they're like softening it up before
yeah,
they like.
yeah, and like,
alright,
and the
they're here.
Navy's releasing all these. All
Imagine,
these
just think about
airplane-
this real quick. Imagine if you all over the news they're just saying, "Hey, they're here." How are the people gonna act?
They're gonna trip out.
Yeah,
That's
Nigga,
why they
if
don't do
COVID,
it.
If COVID, exactly. If COVID
But-
freaked people out, imagine if they start saying, "Hey, aliens are among us, guys."
But it's more
Like,
accepted nowadays, right?
What?
Than like
I
in
think
the
they're getting us ready
nineties.
for
If
it.
it was in the nineties, then people will go like
They'll
ape
kill
shit.
themselves and
But now
shit.
people are like more like, there's no way we're alone. Like
the internet's made everything
more acceptable or like,
different.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah. I remember.
Yeah, a lot of things are more acceptable these
I remember the days of the
Yeah.
AOL and the
AOL,
and the dial-up and
Yeah,
and then if your mom answered a phone call, like that was it for the internet.
right.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Those
I
are good
remember that. I
times.
remember that. And you'll be over on the little chat talking to random people. You really
Oh,
think
yeah,
you're
the message
spending
boards were, yeah.
now you think you're spending game on the chats.
AOL, like
You remember that?
Remember $1.50 a minute or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, unless you called after 9. Yeah, after 9 it was free.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember I had the flip phone and the.
I used to tell my girl, call me after 9.
The Razor?
Oh, and I was a baller. I had the Razor. I had the Razor in
bruh, I
college.
think I ran up to Bill one time. It was like bad.
Oh yeah,
break,
no,
Cause you only
if
get like 1,000 texts.
Yeah.
And I sent like
The big ass.
5,000 or something. Like
it was like 9. You get like what I forgot what it was, but it was you get like 1,000 texts or so many
1,000
hours of
minutes or
phone
something
calls,
like that.
and then after 9 it was free, so everything was after 9 o'clock.
People
I
start running
remember-
shit up. They're like, all right, this ain't gonna work.
It was yeah, and I remember the when you would download if you had
Yeah,
LimeWire or
LimeWire.
Oh, yeah.
Netscape or was it Netscape or
Napster.
Napster? There we
Napster,
go.
I
They
remember
got
Napster.
sued.
Yeah, and you would download like the Metallica album would take like
Couple
4
hours.
days,
Couple hours.
and you'd only get like 3 songs. Like,
But,
But yeah, I think that's it. Right?
yeah, appreciate you coming through.
oh man,
Mr.
thank
James.
you. Anytime you
Anybody
want me.
got questions? Yeah, let them know where to find you.
I am on 6666 Harwin. over on Southwest Houston. You can also call me 713-789-0660. Facebook, the James Hernandez Law Firm. I just got on, Mitch said, get on Instagram, so I got on Instagram. J Hernandez Law TX.
Hey.
I got 56 followers. I'm hoping to get over 100. If I get over 100, then I'm like, what am I, viral at that point?
We're about to give you a shout out, so you're for sure going to get 100.
TikTok, it's J Hernandez Law. Just putting out little videos here and there. But give me a call. Hey, even if you watch this later and you want to put a question in the comments, I'll look around. I'll answer whatever I can. And if you need anything, just give me a call.
Hell yeah. Appreciate
you
that,
coming
bro.
out, brother.
Appreciate y'all
guys so
kicking it with
much.
Space City. We'll see y'all next week.
Thank you, guys.
Yo, what up, man? It's Dope Man, about your God, and right now you kicking it with Space City Collective right in the Southeast.
You're now kicking it with Space City. That's right.
Yo, what's going down? It's that boy T, the screwed up SA, and you now kicking it with Space City Podcast.